Is it really possible to travel the world or live in another country with a budget of just $500 a month? I have been traveling across Southeast Asia for the past 6 months, and in this video, we are going to answer that question once and for all. Over the last half year, I have been to Krabi, Phuket, Bangkok, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, Bali, and now Danang. It started with a 3-week vacation in Thailand and then transformed into a lifestyle. I have experienced what it's like to live in Hanoi for a month, Ho Chi Minh for 2 months, Bali for a month, and I have been living here in Danang for the last month and a half. And yes, this isn't clickbait. My sister and I actually did this, and we are still doing it on a budget of $500 per person. Is it hard? Absolutely. But that's the best part. Even when we struggle, we manage to overcome the challenges and add incredible experiences to our lives. So how did this crazy journey actually begin? Let's start from the beginning. Honestly, we didn't even have a plan like this in mind. My sister was originally organizing a holiday to Thailand just for my aunts, but then things snowballed. My other aunts and my mom wanted to join, and suddenly my sister and I decided to jump on this adventure. Yes, believe or not, we went to Thailand as a massive group of 16 people. This vacation lasted over 3 weeks. 1 week in Phuket, 1 in Krabi, and 1 in Bangkok. Because we were such a large family, we managed to keep accommodation costs incredibly low per person. Around $200 total for the whole 3 weeks, mostly by sharing rooms in a budget-friendly hotels. For food, we usually ate out once or twice a day and skipped other meals by snacking on fresh tropical fruits and smoothies. They were really affordable and everywhere. Thanks to that, our daily food and drink expenses were usually under $10 per person. Here is a pro tip for traveling in big groups. My sister contacted the managers of attractions or local tour companies a month in advance to negotiate the discount. Thanks to that, for example, the $70 and Amanda Aquapark ticket, including towel and locker, came down to $50 per person. The Krabi tour to Tiger Cave, Emerald Pool, and Hot Springs was $30. The Krabi 4-island tour was just $20 per person, and we had a private long-tail boat just for us. Even the dinner cruise with the live music from Icon Siam in Bangkok was only $20. When we travel solo, we usually use Klook for convenience, but when you are a big group, it is actually cheaper and better to arrange private tours directly. For domestic transport, we booked our flight tickets a month in advance with Thai Airways or Bangkok Airways. Because we booked early, they were cheap. We avoided budget airlines like Vietjet because everyone had heavy checked baggage, and we would have ended up paying more with all the hidden fees. From Phuket to Krabi, we hired 2 vans, ideal for 16 people, with drivers of course, and it cost just $10 per person. So if you are city hopping in Thailand, I highly recommend looking into car rentals with drivers. It is often the most comfortable and budget-friendly option. So the Thailand part was mostly a vacation for us. It was our second time there, but we still experienced new things every day and made incredible memories with our family. But for us, the real adventure started after Thailand. While our family flew back home, we bought a one-way ticket to Vietnam. There was just one small problem. My Vietnam visa was a nightmare. For a solid month, I tried to get an e-visa, and every single time it was rejected without a proper reason. The system kept saying upload all documents and nothing else. In the end, we had to hire a visa agency. They helped us get it, but it hit our budget hard. We lost an extra $100 on top of the $25 application fees we had already burned. But luckily my aunts and my uncle covered my visa cost as a thank you gift before they left. So on August 20th, my sister and I flew to Vietnam. My sister had already rented a place for us in Hanoi for a month. Our first rent was $280, including all the bills. We went straight there, but let's just say the house wasn't what we expected. First off, it was in a super local area, about 30-minute drive from the city center. Honestly, the neighborhood didn't feel very safe at times. We stood out so much that people would literally stare and sometimes laugh at us on the street. That part didn't bother us too much though. The real issue was the house itself and the landlord. The place was super dirty. They didn't even give us clean sheets or towels. They were hairs from the previous tenant on the bed. The house was listed with a fully equipped kitchen, but the landlord charged us extra just to rent kitchen utensils. In Vietnam, weekly cleaning is usually included, but here, nothing. Not even cleaning supplies. Living in that house didn't give us the best memories, but we made up for it by staying in a hostel in Old Quarter on weekends. You can stay in a hostel for just $5 per person in best location. Since a taxi ride home was $10, we did some girl math and decided it made perfect sense to stay in hostel to enjoy the weekends fully. The energy in Old Quarter on weekends is infectious. Locals gather, everyone is having fun on the streets, and it felt so nice to be a part of it. After a month, we moved to Chi Minh City. Even though our rent there was only about $30 more, coming in at exactly $310 for the month including bills, the difference was huge. We were in District 3, a great location. The house was spotless. We had weekly cleaning service, a proper sofa, a TV, a fully equipped kitchen, and the perfect host. She solved every little problem we had and even got us a Netflix subscription when we asked. It was such a relief that we decided to extend our stay for another month. I have to emphasize this. We weren't there for a vacation. We didn't have the budget for it. We were there to live. We did weekly grocery shopping and cooked most of our meals at home to save money. I'm actually pretty good at cooking on a budget. Also, coffee in Vietnam is incredible. You can get amazing coffee for just $2. But since we couldn't afford that every day, we usually made coffee at home. A pack of 12 instant coffees is about $3 and it's incredibly tasty, an absolute lifesaver for us. After creating great memories in Ho Chi Minh, we decided to hit to Bali because we found a nice house for just $280 for a month. At first, everything seemed great. Visiting a brand new country and culture comes with anxiety, but we felt lucky to have this freedom. However, our house was far from the tourist areas in West and Pasar, and unfortunately Bali hit us with a harsh reality. It was much more expensive than we expected. Or maybe we were just more broke than we realized. If anyone tells you Bali is so cheap, be skeptical. Is it affordable? Yes, but is it cheap? No. In my experience, Thailand and Vietnam are definitely more budget-friendly. The cost of living really strained us. On top of rent, we paid around $50 just for electricity for 1 month. We had to buy bottled water for everything, even brushing our teeth and washing veggies, because we were terrified of the Bali belly. Plus, we had to pay for laundry service since there was no machine. All these were unexpected expenses. Yes, if you eat nasi goreng and mee goreng every day, food costs are low, but we didn't want to order delivery constantly. There weren't many restaurants around, and we preferred home-cooked meals. But even though we shopped at Lotte Mart and cheaper grocery stores, groceries were expensive, so we ate a lot of instant noodles that month. But it wasn't all bad. We had a pool right outside our door, and swimming every day was healing. We used Grab or Gojek to explore the island, visiting Sanur, Seminyak, and Canggu. Sanur was our favorite, but if we visit Bali again, we know it's not a budget route. We will make sure to have a higher budget. Also, the traffic is absolutely insane, which makes daily trips difficult. When our month in Bali was up, we couldn't find a cheap flight to a new country. Actually, the cheapest ticket was to Singapore, but visiting there on our budget is impossible. Since we live paycheck to paycheck, we can't buy return tickets in advance. But my advice to you, book round-trip tickets. Flights to Bali are cheap, but flights out are insanely expensive. We ended up paying double, but we paid to get there. Eventually, we found a cheap ticket back to Vietnam, specifically to Danang, a city known as the most livable place for expats. Danang is peaceful, with long beaches, wide roads, and sidewalks. Very different from the chaos of Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh. But because Bali had drained our finances and we had to pay a visa agency again for urgent visas, we couldn't afford an apartment right away. First, we stayed in a super cheap hotel room, $50 for a week. It was uncomfortable, dirty, old and in a noisy location, but we had no choice. Finding a long-term house is the hardest part. We usually use Airbnb and book for at least 28 days to get the monthly discount. But since we were broke from the flight tickets, we couldn't pay a full month upfront. We rented a temporary apartment for 7 nights for $100, but it had a tiny window. Fun fact, many houses in Vietnam have tiny windows or no windows at all. Since my sister works remotely and I edit videos all day, being in a dark room was depressing. So we pushed our budget more and moved to our current place. Right now, our rent, including electricity, water and bills, comes to about $500 total. That's above our usual budget. We needed the space. We have been here for a month and sadly, we just found out this place is booked. So we have to move again and we are currently hunting for a new spot on Facebook groups. So let's break down the math. How do we survive? Our biggest costs are rent and flight tickets. We stay in countries as long as our visas allow to make the flight cost worth it. We rarely shop. Aside from essentials like shampoo or detergent, we spend maybe $20 a month combined on clothes or gear, costing us max $20 on a month for 2 people. Here is the final breakdown per person. Rent $250, food $200, but we increased this recently to eat healthier. It used to be $100. Transport $10 and the other needs $40. That brings us to exactly $500. Can we save money? Sadly no. If unexpected costs come up, we have to use a credit card or cut back heavily on food the next month. So is it possible to travel the world on a budget of $500? Yes, you can do it, but you have to know that it's not a permanent vacation. It's a lifestyle choice that comes with sacrifices, financial stress, and hard work. But in exchange, you get a freedom to travel the world. So if you have any questions about budget travel or these specific cities, let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.